Welcome to my sewing room. Today the theme of the show is Celtic lace shaping, and oh, do we have some wonderful tricks for you. The first little outfit I'd like to show you is on a little doll here named Martha. She has Celtic lace shaping at the top of her bodice and Celtic lace shaping that goes down onto her skirt. And then there is another really pretty pillow right beside Martha here, which has some little Celtic lace-shaped teardrops on a really pretty blue Swiss batiste. I have another pillow here which has really interesting Celtic lace shaping, this time done on netting. So Celtic lace shaping, as you've probably guessed by now, is where the laces go over and under and over and under. This lovely smock dress is really pretty at the top, but what I really want to show you is the Celtic lace shaping on the skirt of the smock dress. Do you see how it has laces that go over and under and over and under, and it makes really pretty shapes on the bottom of the dress? Well, that's what I'm calling Celtic lace shaping. Absolutely magnificent table runner. Let me put it down here. It has Madeira applique on the edge, but once again what I would like to show you is the hearts that are in the Celtic lace shaping. You can use them right side up or upside down as they look right now. The last little Celtic lace shaping I'd like to share with you once again has hearts on it, on the top and on the skirt. The hearts go over and under, the laces join, and this is what I would call Celtic lace-shaped hearts. Now then, if you will come along with me to the technique boards, I will share with you all kinds of different ways that you can enjoy doing Celtic lace shaping. There are many different types of Celtic lace shapes. Today I'm going to share 3 of them with you. But you know, like everything else in heirloom sewing, the most fun is for you to make up your own Celtic lace shaping. All right, here we go. This one has 3 circles. Now I'm really not going to show you how to finish shaping this because I'm going to do that in just a few minutes. But I'm going to shape the laces. This is what it looks like over here when I have the 3 circles. Now here is what I really love about Celtic lace shaping. Some of the laces go on top of the other piece, and here, if you can see, it goes underneath. So when I'm stitching, I come stitch, 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 and when it goes underneath, I stop stitching, and I jump over here and begin stitching again. Now this part, the lace is on top here, so what do I do with my stitching? I stitch right on around, and then when the lace goes underneath, I stop stitching again and move over. Here is what it looks like. Really, really pretty to have these 3 circles intertwined, and then I'm going to cut away from behind there. Now the next Celtic lace shape I'd like to share with you has 2 circles and a diamond. Now I'm not going to finish lace shaping, but you shape the circles and you shape the diamond. Now come over here and let's see how we're going to make these laces go under and over. All right, this diamond lace is going to go under the lace. Come up here, make a miter, and here it's going to go over the lace. Make a miter, here it came under the lace. Now come over and look at the final piece. Isn't that pretty with the diamond and the 2 circles? And you see the stitching comes around because it's over and it stops. It jumps, it goes all the way up here, and since the lace is on top, it continues, and there it goes under, so it stops. And then the stitching goes on. The last Celtic lace shape I'm going to share right now is 3 hearts. All right, excuse me, I'm sorry, 1 heart and 2 circles. Please forgive me. All right, here comes a heart, and then here are 2 circles. Isn't this a pretty one too? I've got my lace-shaped heart. This piece goes on top. This piece goes underneath. This piece goes on top. You can see the heart is underneath. And then when it's stitched over here, I did the stitching the same way. If the lace were on top, I would stitch, and then when it went under the bottom, I stopped stitching and jumped over again. Okay, come on over to the sewing machine and let's have a little bit of fun with lace shaping as well as with the Celtic. All right, now then, as you can see, I have started shaping the heart here. The circle. I put the pins around. Now there's a little magic string, which a lot of you already know about, that's built into French laces. If you'll watch real carefully, I have picked up this little string, and I want you to watch what happens when I pull that little string. Some people say, oh, Martha, that's just magic. Well, I think it is too. Now I'm going to come in here, slip my pin underneath. The one that makes a scallop on the top is the best string or thread to pull. I'm going to pull the lace, and do you see what happened? it lay down completely flat. Now I want to show you one more little trick about how I join these two pieces of lace. It's very, very easy. Simply fold one underneath, put it down on top, and then I'll take a little glue, go in there and glue it down, a little basting glue, not real glue, basting glue that comes right out, and then it will be ready to go. Now then, here is what it looks like after all of these three pieces have been stitched down. Now then you're going to say, well, Martha, good heavens, I'd like to see how you get the fabric from behind there. That seems a little complicated. Well, it really isn't complicated at all. I'm going to turn it over and show you. The way you start the fabric when you're going to get a little piece to pinch it up, you pinch a little piece on the front, a little piece on the back, and you make a little snip, just like this, a tiny little snip, which means you can get your scissors. And I do like a blunt-toed scissor to use. And then you slip your scissors in there, and you just begin to trim. I'm going to trim along very carefully, I might add. I'm going to tell you a real quick story here. I hope I haven't cut it on the back. Nope, believe it or not, I didn't cut a thing. Let me turn it over and show you. All right, I was doing this. A sweet little girl in California had taken a curved puffing class with me, and it was time to cut the lace away. And she said, Martha, I just can't do it. I just cannot do it. I'm too scared. I said, oh, honey, it's all right. You've done such a beautiful job on your pillow, and I know that you can, it's just nothing to it. Let me just show you how to do it. So I picked up her beautiful round puffing pillow, and I said, here's what you do. You just come in here and pick up a little piece like this, and you make a little clip, and then you begin to cut it. I said, just take 2 or 3 little snips. And honey, I turned it over, and I had cut her pillow. I had cut her lace, and I really thought that I was just going to start crying. I said, oh no, I've cut your pillow. And she said, Martha, don't worry, don't worry. She said, I was sitting here so scared, and said, I know if you cut a little bit of lace, it's okay for me to cut a little bit of lace. But anyway, I thought I'd tell you, you may cut a little lace sometime. Now then, here it is, the 2 circles in the diamond. This is already shaped, ready to go, ready to sew down. I'm telling you, if you want to get rid of those pins, just put a little glue under there, and then you just sew the basting glue, not real glue. Then here it is, already stitched down. Look how pretty that is. Then first of all, I really didn't even show you the first step. You trace it off. When you're going to put any kind of Celtic lace shaping, you trace it off, and then you shape your laces. Now then, let's go ahead and do just a little bit of sewing. I'm just going to use a zigzag, and I've got this all glued down so I don't have any pins. I've used the basting glue, and it's okay to use pins, just don't sew over the pins. Now I'm just going to turn around a little bit. I'm zigzagging. Now the lace is now going to go under the other lace. So what am I going to do? Do you remember? I'm going to stop. I'm going to lift the presser foot, lift the needle. I'm going to move over. Let me pull it just a little bit. I'm going to lower the presser foot right on the other side, and I'm going to start sewing again. There we go, just right around that side. And then this time it's going over, so I don't have to pick it up now. I'm just going to go over, and then it won't be a problem. And do you see how wonderful it is not to have any pins in there? Although no problem, you can just use pins. Now that's absolutely all there is to Celtic lace shaping. Now I'm going to move on around just a little bit, and I'm just using a basic zigzag. I'm going to move on around just a little bit. Now guess what? Oh me, this lace is going under, so I'm going to stop sewing. Lift the needle, pick it up, scoot over, and move my hand there so you can see. Scoot over to the other side, lower the presser foot, pull out the pin, and begin to sew again. There we go. Now then, that's all there is to it. Next, I'm going to share with you another beautiful version of the ladies' blouse that we've been having on this series called the New Zealand blouse. It's going to have interlocking lace or Celtic lace shaping. It is so much fun to add heirloom embellishments to very tailored and elegant women's wear. The New Zealand blouse pattern, the one for this series, we've just done so many things that I believe almost everyone would like to wear. This is an elegant blouse with its round yoke, and we have the diamond at the top. Then look at the beautiful Celtic lace shaping down the front. Also, the embellishments down the front, there are 3 tucks on either side, which have been stitched down with a Madeira applique or a pin stitch or point de Paris. I think this sleeve is absolutely elegant also. Let me hold it out here a little bit so you can just see how, isn't that beautiful? The same very tailored Celtic lace shaping treatment, stitched down with a wing needle and a Madeira applique stitch, has been used on the sleeve of this most tailored woman's blouse in linen. Now let's see how easy it is to do the Celtic lace shaping, such as the one that we have, such as the lace shaping we have on this wonderful New Zealand blouse. Reviewing just one moment the mitering of the corners on the diamonds. Okay, pin on the outside, pin on the inside, fold the lace back on itself, remove the inside pin, and fold the lace up, and there's a perfect miter. Now then, I'm going to do a pin on the top. I'm going to come in here, twist it back on itself because that's a miter at the top, put another pin down, and then I'll chop off the tails. Now let's see how you make those tucks. The line I'm pointing to right here and right here, I will take this line and bring it over to this line in order to make a tuck. Now let me see if I can do that where you can see it here. I'll bring this line over, fold it over to this line, and there is my first tuck. Now here I've already done those tucks for you. There are 2 here. I have 1 more to pull over, but you can see there are 2 tucks here. My diamonds have been shaped in the middle, and part of them have been zigzagged going over and under. Okay, the tucks are going to be stitched down with a Madeira applique or a pin stitch. Now I could have used my fabric glue and just glued these tucks down, which that would be good. However, I just left the pins in because this is pretty easy since this is just straight. Now I'm using a wing needle, a 100 wing needle, and I'm using a Madeira applique stitch, and yes, I do have stabilizer underneath this. Although, if you want to know the truth, this is such thick fabric, I don't really think that I would have to have stabilizer if I didn't want to. Now, one of the things I would like for you to see is that the wing needle is making several jumps backward and forward. Can you see that? That is the difference between just a blanket stitch and the Madeira applique or the pin stitch. Isn't that a beautiful stitch? And we're just stitching those tucks right down. Now, I'm going to stop just a minute and let you look at one other feature I would like to share with you. Isn't that beautiful, though, the Madeira applique? Let's go back and look one more time at how this Celtic lace shaping is stitched down. Okay, here the diamond goes over the top of the lace that's underneath it. So I have zigzag, zigzag, zigzag right over it, come around the corner. Now look what happens here. The lace goes underneath this piece. So what did I do? I stopped stitching there, jumped over and began stitching again there. I went up and down. Now what happens here? The lace goes over this piece, so I go on, I stitch and stitch and stitch right here, come down. Now what happens to the lace here? It goes underneath this piece, so I stop stitching, simply jump over and begin to stitch again, come down, and then come up. Now watch, this goes over the other piece of lace, so I'm going to zigzag right over it. Now what happens here? It stops, it goes underneath. So I'm going to stop sewing and jump over there too. Now after I trim away the fabric from behind these shapes, I will then with a regular needle come back and just zigzag over these miters. I will zigzag over this one, I will zigzag over this one, I will zigzag over this miter, zigzag over this miter. You can see I've already done it there. Now that is how you do Celtic lace shaping. You simply take the laces over one time and under one time. And then when you begin to sew it, if the lace is on top, you just keep on sewing. You almost kind of pretend like your lace going under a bridge, or a car going under a bridge, or a car going over the bridge. If the car goes over the bridge, you can see the car or see the stitching. If the car goes under the bridge, You cannot see the stitching, and that's a little rule of thumb I use when I'm teaching Celtic lace shaping. And now then, I have a very, very special silk ribbon stitch for you. I'm so pleased to have as my guest today my very dear friend Beverly Sheldrick from New Zealand. Beverly is the author of a beautiful embroidery book entitled Colonial Inspirations. She is also a frequent guest contributor and guest designer for both So Beautiful and Fancy Work magazines. Beverly, welcome back.
Thank you, Martha. It's great to be here. Martha, today I want to talk about hydrangeas.
Oh,
now, this is a flower which it's not a difficult one to do, but it just takes a little bit of time to do it and a little bit of care. And it's really made up of 2 stitches. Now, the project that I've used is this little cover, which I've got here for you. And you will see that I've used a number of different colours, and it's really that which gives it the definition that it needs. Now, this wee cover can be, I've used it for my passport, but obviously you can adapt it for anything else. Now, you will see when you look at how the stitch is done that there's a series of little stitches here, and it's made up of a mixture of very loose French knots, not the normal somewhat tighter knot that you would normally use. You can see here there's a normal sized French knot. Here I have a very loose one. So there's a mixture of these, and there is a mixture of these little loops like this, and you can see the size. This is a shish kebab stick that I'm using here, and so that gives you an idea of the size of this little loop that we have here. Each one is then tied down with a French knot, and it's quite a big French knot that I've used. You can use stranded cotton or whatever, floss, whatever is your favourite embroidery thread that you like to use. And so you can see it's there in the middle of the French knot and also in the middle of that little loop. So you get these little wings which come up on each side. Now, in this little clump that I have here, I've actually done it in 2 different colours, and that's really so that you can see how they've done in a random fashion. Don't try to have them all regular, 1, 2, 3, step, 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 sort of thing like that. Just stitch them in any old way, just as the mood takes you. And so that you build up a little clump like this. And I particularly love to use a variegated thread. You'll see in here, this lavender one is a variegated thread, and it just looks so pretty when it's done like that. So this, remember, is not normally done like that in 2 colours, but just to so that you can get a clearer definition between the 2 stitches. I've also done a little clump of them down here. These are just these big loose French knots with the little knots. Now, they're very, very simple to do. Do your French knot in the normal way, over and back, put your finger on it, put it down and stop. And then just pull it until you get it. You can see how it's just sitting quite loosely there on the needle. So we're just going to pull that through like that, and we'll just do another one just like this. Come through like that, over and back, put the needle in and pull it. You can see quite loose like that. And then just take that to one side like that. I've got some thread here, and again I'm going to give anything between 5 and 6 wraps here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just as many as you like. You can of course put little clear crystals, and that really just looks like little drops of water, so that is really so pretty. And it's quite a good idea not to do all crystals, just a few scattered amongst it. makes it look really very, very pretty indeed. So there we are. And it's quite a good idea to match the thread to the colour of your silk ribbon. So here we go once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes I'm sitting counting them and my husband says, "What on earth are you doing?" I think he thinks I'm going slightly batty. I mean, he's probably right, of course, but that's beside the point. So we're just going to move over to this one. Now, this one is that little loop. And you will see, I'm just going up like this. You don't really need to put the shish kebab stick in there, but I'm just doing that so that you can see approximately the size of that wee loop. Over here again, like that, and down like that. And there we have those little loops. Now you will see I've come up in the middle here, and again it will be those little French knots. So I'll just come up with this next one for you. Come up and through the middle like that. So you're really just squashing it either way and around like that and down again. Now there's nothing very difficult about that, is there? And you just randomly scatter them between as you go along. And we'll leave that there like that. Now, to make the little project, and as I said before, it's very easy. You can make it to fit really any size that you want to. You'll see, here's my piece of silk which I have fused. I've got a lightweight fusing on the back. I've put in a lace-shaped oval and I've pin stitched it. I think it makes a lovely finish. So that's already there. You will see I've got creases here marking the size.
You're ready to go ahead and finish up very easily.
Yes.
Beverly, thank you so very much. Those hydrangeas are absolutely beautiful, and you did make it sound very, very easy. Now won't you come along to my attic with me? Sometimes the Victorian women put just as much wonderful time, effort, and care on their petticoats as they did on their dresses. This petticoat just fit in so perfectly with the Celtic lace shaping show, I just had to buy it. I purchased this in Massachusetts a couple of years ago. Now let me just show you something kind of interesting. There are tucks right here at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tucks, and then look at the lace shaping, the diamonds that go over and under. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 diamonds. Now, you know, we talked about over and under a few minutes ago. Do you see how this lace goes over this one, over this one, over this one? Now this lace comes under, 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 under. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little diamonds on the inside and 5 little diamond points. Now let's look at the number 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tucks once again. And then this perfectly beautiful ruffle that is so pretty. It has insertion, 1, 2, 3 tucks, more insertion, 1, 2, 3 tucks, and then a little bit of gathered lace along the bottom. This petticoat took so much time to make, and I just almost, since our daughter Joanna has just recently married, and we got some pretty new clothes for her and had some pretty things made also, I just look at this and think this might have been a trousseau petticoat, but even if it were not a trousseau petticoat, it's just a perfectly beautiful petticoat, and the techniques that we use today are really those that have been used for many, many years. I hope you've had as much fun in my sewing room today as I have. I just thank you so much for coming on this little visit today, and I'd like to invite you to join me again next time.